Hello, everybody. I'm here to offer you a wonderful opportunity that people have been asking me about wherever I go. People are asking me, how can we see the same move of God in our country as is happening in the Ukraine? Will you come and do a conference? Will you come and preach in our church? And the invitations are just too many. So that's why I've decided to start a Bible school in every country. So right now we have started one in America, we've started one in France, we've started one in Holland, we've started one in Germany. Now it's time for England. So we're starting a History Maker Bible School in the city of London from September 25th. So I'm inviting everybody that wants to be a part of this great move of God that God is pouring all over Europe, that you should come and be a part of this Bible school. It's just a weekend Bible school, 1 weekend a month. So you don't need to leave your job, you don't need to leave your family, you don't need to leave your church, just one Saturday in a month. You can do that. Please get in touch with us by contacting the telephone and the email on the screen after this program. God bless you and welcome to History Makers Bible School.
300 Christians needed to change the spiritual temperature of this nation forever. Are you one of them? The nation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God for this end time. You don't have to be a pastor or someone in a leadership position in a church to be part of this great move of God. All you need is a genuine hunger for the kingdom of God to be established on earth. Pastor Sunday Adelaja, the pastor of the largest church in Europe, the Embassy of God, is initiating a move of God in this nation called the History Makers Bible School. The History Makers Bible School takes place only on one Saturday every month to equip you for the next level. It will also be a good opportunity to network with like-minded Christians. You will receive tried and tested keys to church growth and pastoring with Emmanuel Center, 9 to 23 Marsham Street, Victoria, London, Southwest 1P 3DW. £40 per session. To register, call 0798 114 6157 or email admin@hmbsuk.org or visit the website at www.hmbsuk.org. Whatever you do, don't miss this move of God. Call the number on the screen now to register. Remember, you were called for a time like this. Hello and welcome back to these wonderful interviews we've been putting together with Pastor Sunday on behalf of the Embassy of God in Kiev in the Ukraine. My name is Yemi Balogun. The last interview, he was talking about, being pastoring some black members, a lot of them, and somehow he felt uncomfortable and he needed to take a break to go talk to God, to have an encounter that would transform his life. Then on the other hand, he said he went into the presence of God. So in this part of the interview, we'll start by checking with him, these black people, how many of them, and how come he was uncomfortable with just pastoring black people. And then number three, the three questions he went to God with. What kind of questions are they? Is to give you an idea that when you go before God, what kind of questions you want to go to God with, and the sort of answers he got from God. Pastor Sunday, welcome back to this program.
Thank you.
And in the last interview, you said some interesting things. You were pastoring a church full of black people. How many people roughly are we looking at? And why do some black pastors have been comfortable and say, well, let's just carry on. They're there, they're paying their tithe and offering. Let's just get on with it. Somewhere along the line, it will be okay. So why were you uncomfortable with the idea of just pastoring black people and then going on to just do something else? And also you asked God 3 questions. And he answered all 3 methodically. So we'd like to know those 3 questions and what he said.
Well, The reason I was uncomfortable with pastoring just the foreigners and the blacks is because I was thinking we were very few in number. Maximum we attained was 25 because there's so few blacks here. So I was thinking there are so many people around, millions of people in this country that don't know him. And then, by the way, he brought us to this country, not far. He probably would have left me in Africa. We have more of them in Africa than here in Russia. So I was thinking, I couldn't just reconcile with that. If I needed survival just to get tight, and that was good for me. But that was not enough. I was not after survival. And if anybody heard my story from the beginning, at all in the material things, because what does it profit a man to to get the whole war and then lose his soul? So that was not my concern. My concern was to please God. So if I needed to please God, and I thought God brought me here to this country to please him, and he had showed me that I was going to minister to people, and I saw all white people. So what is the key to going to meet all these people, to minister, to touch them? Because I couldn't, for 4 years, can you imagine yourself laboring in one country for 4 years and not having one indigent, one citizen, one European coming to the Lord? So I was desperate. So that desperation drove me to God.
But if people want to go before God to ask him questions, what kind of questions do you think they can approach God with?
I think I could as well try to share them for you to understand. If I don't know if people will understand some of these things or not. But one of the questions that I raised up with God was that he said he was challenging me to be a minister. That means I had to leave my profession. I finished as the best university student for the last 20 years in the history of the university, with students from 99 countries of the world, and I finished the top, and one of the best in the history of the school, and I finished with first-class distinction, and I had opportunity to build career, but I knew I was going to forfeit this and let it go just to obey God. So one of my major questions to God was, I'm ready to go all the way. Anything you want me to do, I'm ready to do it. But please, I don't just want to be another pastor or another preacher. Because it occurred to me that we have probably millions of preachers in the world. And I only knew a few of them at that time, maybe 10. So why is it that only a few have become so prominent in preaching the gospel? So my concern was that, God, I'm ready to give all what I had, all my best to serve you. I will not do it 50%. I will not do it 20%. I will not do 80%. I will not serve you 90%. I will not even serve you 99%. I'm going to be absolutely committed to you. I'm going to serve you 100%. If you need me to fast 100 days, I'm going to do it. If you need me to pray, 24 hours, I'm going to do it. Anything it takes, I am going to give my best. But I need an agreement with you. I don't just want to be yet another pastor that will just repeating the messages of each other and echoing each other and all that. I don't just want to be one of those unknown, somebody just doing a profession. I don't want to do this as a profession. I don't want to do this for survival. I don't want to do this just for a name. If I'm going to serve you and I'm giving up everything for it, please let your grace rest upon me. I could give up everything I had. I could do all my utmost best. But if your grace doesn't come, I will just be an ordinary person trying to impress God. I need your grace. Please don't let me be an ordinary minister. I want to be a minister with a name, and I want to be a minister with a difference. I want to be a minister with a package from you to the people. So I think it's a little bit personal, but I'm just a kind of person like that. I'm a maximalist. I either go for it absolutely, totally, or not do it at all. So I needed to settle that with God. So the second question I needed to settle with God was, I was concerned that so many people were falling, and a lot of pastors were bringing disgrace and reproach to the name of the Lord. So I needed to resolve that with the Lord. to say, I don't want to be I don't want to serve you, go into the ministry, only to eventually bring disgrace to your name, or reproach to you, or to fall into sin, or into into whatever false doctrine or pride, that I needed to get a guarantee that will not happen to me. So that was my second question. My third question was the fact that there was no way to break through in Russia. This is Russia. I had faith that I could break through in Western Europe. I had faith I could break through in America or in America, but this is Russia. I mean, they even don't think. Some of them don't even think I was a human being yet. People still think that we are not totally human, and that our tail was cut off when we got to Moscow. They did surgery for us. So this is not going to work. I mean, here I walk in the street and they run up to me and say, "Are you monkey? Why where did you live? Why you live on trees and things?" So do you have houses in Africa? You have cars there? So things, people don't even count me as human being yet, and you want me to pass on them. How can it's not? They don't even go to this. Even if I were raised up like they were raised up, I would probably not even cross the road to listen to myself. And now you are saying you want me to build a mega church for you here. This is not going to. I mean, it doesn't look real. It's no chance. So I needed to get answers to those things.
So you went back and disbanded this church.
Yeah, what I did was I went back to the group and said, you could do what you needed, because I got to know that God was not going to anoint me, and He was not going to give me the grace to become what I wanted to become overnight. That is interesting. That's an interesting point. Even though God had spoken to me and had called me, yet when it was time for me to break out, He was not telling me to go and start my own church immediately. He said, go and learn, go and study. So we had all these foreigners here that I was leading. Then I just knew that, why is it that people were going to the Russian churches? Russians were going to their own church, but we couldn't get them. They would come to look at us like tourists, but they never stay with us. So I discovered that our own way of preaching the gospel or doing church was totally different from their own culture. And when we go to their churches, from the way they do church. So I said, well, I'm scattering this group. If you want, continue to meet, but I'm leaving. And I want to say, I'm not going to be responsible for this group anymore. I want to go and join the Russian church. Anything they want to use me, anything they want me to do, I will do. Must learn their own way, the way they do church that makes people to come to church. Unbelievers, Russians like them. So when I got there, I was speaking Russian already, but I discovered that my accent was different from their own. I discovered that the way I read the Bible and the way I put the tonation of it was totally different. So I could not communicate. And then the way they preach the gospel, the way they communicate, I was playing a lot of emphasis on miracles, signs, and wonder. God is doing this, God is doing. But they were doing it through explanation and logical reasonings. Right. So those kind of things were different from approach. I was using more emotions and zeal, but they were just using relax. They were just relaxed and trying to reason things out, to talk to people and explain things to other people. So I knew that because we were praying, we were fasting, we were doing all the spiritual stuff, but no result. But they were even not fasting 10% of all the fasting and praying that we were doing, but they had all the result. Then when you come to our fellowship, we had all the drum, acrobatic cultural groups. So, but their own was more emphasis on guitars and string instruments rather than drums and quality. And we had the passion, we had the zeal, but they had the perfection finishing. And so I had to go and join the Russian underground churches just to travel with them, join their youth group, pastoral teams, and I was not a pastor or anything, but just do anything they wanted me to ask me to do. I was learning